I'm going to teach you about ratios. In my experience, I've realized that many students find ratios a little bit tricky, but in fact, it's actually easy. Once you go through the theory and you understand some example, you'll notice it's not hard at all. Once I teach it to the students, they realize it's actually a piece of cake. It's pretty simple as well. Now, let's understand what ratio actually means. A ratio is a comparison of two or more quantities, two or more numbers. In real life, there are many examples of where ratios are used. In painting, in cooking, and even in building. And there are many other situations where ratios are actually used. For example, when painting and mixing colors to make the color green, we must mix the color yellow and the color blue to make a green. However, what if we want to make a light green, or we want to make a dark green? What do we do? This is where ratios is used. If we mix 2 parts blue and 5 parts yellow, so for example, 2 containers of blue paint and 5 containers of yellow paint, we will get a green that is light in color. But if we mix 5 parts blue and 2 parts yellow, we will get a green dark in color. So ratios, if we mix more of blue or more of yellow, will change the shade of the color green that we want. That's where ratios is used. Likewise, when building, builders and concreters, when they want to mix concrete, to make it strong, they have to make sure that the ratio, the comparison between sand, gravel, water, and cement is mixed together, that the correct ratio is made. If not, the concrete won't be strong enough, it will crack, and it won't be able to hold the building up. So it's very important to realize that mixing ratios in the correct manner is very important. Same thing when cooking. When your mum or dad are actually cooking and they are creating a cake or they are making something, do you need to understand that they are using ratios? They are using ratios when they put the ingredients, when they put the flour or the water or any kind of ingredient they are putting in the meal they're making. It's very important that they get the right mix, or else the taste may be bitter or even sour or maybe too sweet. It's important to get the mix right. That mix is called the ratio. Now we're going to look at some examples to see how ratios are used and how we can find the right ratio when we are working with some of these examples. Example 1. John is painting a wall in his room a color called palm green. To make the color palm green, he needs to mix yellow and blue in the ratio 4:7. So he's mixing yellow and he's also mixing blue in the ratio 4:7. Now here we notice we use the ratio sign, which is the column that you already know and you've seen in English. We use it to say 4 parts yellow to 7 parts blue, meaning 4 containers of yellow mixed with 7 containers of blue, or 4 buckets of yellow and 7 buckets of blue. So the question says, how many parts yellow? Well, yellow is 4. And how many parts blue? Well, we know 7 parts blue. So yellow is 4 and blue is 7. We have 4 parts yellow and 7 parts blue. The last question says, how many parts will be mixed to make the color palm green? Well, we know there are 4 yellow and 7 blue. Altogether, there are 11 parts to make that will make the color palm green mixed together, and you'll get the color palm green. So 4 parts yellow and 7 parts blue. This is ratios to mix a color. In this case here, we have 4 parts, 7 parts, which make in total 11 parts to make the color palm green. Let us do another example. Example 2. Our Year 8 class has 10 boys and 15 girls. What is the ratio of boys to girls? The ratio of boys to girls. We write boys to girls. Very important to label so we understand which numbers go where. We know there are 10 boys and how many girls? 15 girls. Boys there are 10 and girls there are 15. So now we've completed the first question. What is the ratio of boys to girls? The second question says, what is the ratio of girls to boys? We're going from girls to boys, so girls to boys. We know there are 15 girls and 10 boys. Very important for you to make sure the order is correct. Here we had boys to girls. Here we asked for girls to boys. 15 girls to 10 boys in our class. The last question says, if 5 more boys joined our class, what is the new ratio of boys to girls in our class? So this question says that again we are asked for the boys to girls ratio. But we are told that 5 more boys joined the class. So we had 10 boys at the start. We have now 5 extra boys. So now we have 15 boys. And girls, we already know that there are 15 girls. So all of a sudden, after 5 more boys actually join the class, basically we have the same amount of boys as the same amount of girls, which means half the class is boys and half the class is girls. This is the basics of ratio. Remember, a ratio is a comparison of 2 or more quantities, 2 or more numbers. Here we were comparing the quantity of boys to girls. Before, in the other example, we were comparing the number of yellow to blue or blue to yellow to make that color green. Very important for you to understand that. It is basic. Always remember, ratio is a comparison between 2 numbers or 2 or more numbers.